Hey guys, welcome to the video. Salt here. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Kitgun the Rattleguts, and specifically its primary configuration. Later in the week we'll do the secondary configuration of the Rattleguts, but me personally I actually think the primary configuration has the most use cases. So before we go over that, let's go over the first and top commenter board. The first commenter of the last video was Silver44, and the top commenter of the last video was Montero U. And of course, we have our recent channel supporters here of Whoop-De Wham, Nice Bear, and Colonel Sir06. Thank you so much for your support. Because the Rattleguts is a kit gun, you're going to be using different parts to make it. So let's go over the parts. The chamber is of course going to be the Rattleguts. The loader is going to be the Splat because it does the most damage. And the grip is going to be the Tremor, again because it does the most damage. Unique and interesting things about the Rattleguts is that it has innate radiation on it already. And also something unique to kit guns in general is that they get a second arcane slot here for a kit gun specific arcane. I have two builds today to show off for the Rattleguts primary. The first build is the main build, which is just your typical max DPS build. And the second build is a plus strength build. This one is for snapshotting ability strength by using one of the special Kitgun arcanes for warframes that want to snapshot ability strength, so setup type frames, like Titania or Avara, or other frames as well, but those are the two I'm most familiar with. All right, let's go over the mods. We're gonna start by talking about the main build, which is your typical max DPS build. Galvanized Chamber for multi-shot, Galvanized Scope for critical chance, Prime Shred for fire rate and punch through. Now, unfortunately, Prime Shred is a login reward, so if you don't have Prime Shred, use Vial Acceleration here instead. In this next mod slot, there are two mods you need to consider, and that's going to be either Bladed Rounds or Hunter Munitions. Bladed Rounds is 120% critical damage, and Hunter Munitions is when you get a critical, you have a chance to produce a slash proc. Now, Bladed Rounds is definitely better than Hunter Munitions in early to mid content in Steel Path. And Hunter Munitions is definitely better than Bladed Rounds in mid to late content in Steel Path, almost going towards level cap. So the choice between those two mods really depends on the longevity of content you decide you want to do. If you do more non-level cap content, use Bladed Rounds. If you do more level cap content, use Hunter Munitions here. In the next slot, we have Critical Delay for critical chance, Vital Sense for critical damage. In the next two slots, we make Viral, so we're going to use the 60/60 Toxic mod, and Primed Cryo Rounds for the 165 Cold. If you don't have Primed Cryo Rounds, you can use the 60/60 Cold as well, it's okay. Now, if you have an external way to make Viral, maybe through a subsume or by using a pet like the Panzervolpiphyla, then instead in these two slots, make Corrosive, which would be the 60/60 Toxic mod and the 60/60 Electric mod to make Corrosive. In the Exila slot, we go with Vigilante Supplies. This is a 5% chance to enhance our critical hits from our primary weapons to the next crit tier. In the Kitgun specific arcane slot, we go with Pax Seeker, which is on a headshot kill, 4 projectiles burst from the target and seek the heads of nearby enemies. This actually does pretty good damage. And in the normal arcane slot, we go with Primary Deadhead, which is on a precision headshot kill. You get 120% damage for 24 seconds, stacking up to 3 times, which is 360% flat damage total, plus 30% to headshot multiplier, and minus 50% weapon recoil. All right, let's go over the second build now, which is the plus strength build. I don't have an Exilis mod here only because I didn't have the capacity. This might be one of those instances where an Omniforma might be really good. So maybe after this video, I'll put an Omniforma on here. That way I can fit both the main and the strength build on. But this Exilis is going to be Vigilante Supplies just like the main build. So Vigilante Supplies is going to be here. So the plus strength build revolves around the one Kitgun specific arcane of Pax Bolt. And let me read this off here. On a headshot kill, you get plus 30% ability efficiency and plus 30% ability strength on the next ability used within 4 seconds. 4 seconds is a very narrow window, so it's not useful on most Warframes, but on those Warframes that like to snapshot ability strength, the ones I'm familiar with that I play a lot is Avara and Titania. They love snapshotting ability strength. Then Pax Bolt with the Rattleguts primary is a top tier pick. So how this works with snapshotting Warframes is they don't actually use the Rattleguts primary to be their main damage source. They're using it as a tool to pull out. They get that one headshot kill and then they put it away, and then they go into whatever ability it was that's going to benefit from that ability strength. So this build is not actually built for max DPS. This build is built for max initial DPS. And so you'll see some differences on it. Again, we're focusing everything around Pax Bolt, which is on a headshot kill. So let's go over the mods now. Primary Acuity, which is plus 350% weak point damage and plus 350% weak point critical chance, which includes headshots, of course. Serration for plus 165% flat damage. Now, why do we have Serration? Serration is normally a pretty bad mod. Well, again, this is a tool of a weapon. You're pulling it out, you're getting your one headshot, and you're putting it away. So you're not stacking Deadhead, you're not stacking Merciless. So it's nice to have flat damage on the weapon itself, and that's where Serration comes in. Vial Acceleration for plus 90% fire rate. This is going to be better than Prime Shred, whereas the main build, Prime Shred, is the best. This build, Vial Acceleration, is the best, and it's because of burst damage. You're trying to get that headshot kill. You don't care about punching through enemies and getting multi-hits. You just care about getting that initial headshot kill to trigger Pax Bolt. So Vial Acceleration offers more burst DPS. Bladed Rounds is the best in this situation, better than Hunter Munitions. And it's because the slash procs from Hunter Munitions will not trigger Pax Bolt. You need the raw damage to do it, and that's where Bladed Rounds comes in. So 120% critical damage from Bladed Rounds. Critical Delay is plus 200% critical chance. Vital Sense is 120% critical damage. And the next two slots, we're going to make Viral again here. So that's going to be the 60-60 Toxic and the 165 Cold. And just like the main build, if you had an external way to make Viral, then instead make Corrosive here, which will be the 60-60 Toxic and the 60-60 Electric. The Exilus slot is going to be Vigilante Supplies, just like the main build. The Kitgun specific arcane slot is definitely going to be Pax Bolt, because that's what everything revolves around on this build. And the normal arcane slot is going to be Primary Crux. And this is for a few reasons. One of the reasons is because we're going Primary Acuity, we're losing all of our multi-shot, and so it's actually harder to produce our full 10 stack of Viral, or the 10 stack of Corrosive if you want Corrosive here instead. Crux eliminates that and makes it, again, pretty easy to get to those 10 stacks of Viral or 10 stacks of Corrosive, or both. So this is on a weak point hit, you gain plus 30% status chance, stacking up to 10 times, and plus 6% ammo efficiency for 10 seconds, again, stacking up to 10 times. So 300% status chance, 60% ammo efficiency, makes it easier to get to that full 10 stack of your element, and you can kind of spam more and get more burst DPS because you don't have to reload. This is how you build out the Kitgun, the Rattleguts, in its primary configuration. I hope you guys liked it, and if you did, consider leaving a like and subscribing for future content. So now I'll have a 5-minute gameplay portion where I showcase the weapon, and when that's over, we'll come back to the Orbiter and we'll go over how the Rattleguts primary did and give it its final score and ranking. So I'll see you again when we come back to the Orbiter. All right, let's start this 5-minute gameplay portion up. We're showcasing the Rattleguts primary here. We're not using any kind of externals, so no abilities, no mods on the pet or anything. Open the door. Oh, there we go. That door did not want to open. No mods on the pet or anything that increase weapon performance. Just basic utility mods on the pet. And that way you can kind of see how the weapon performs by itself modded out, and you can kind of make your own decision on adding those externals. Also, we're showcasing the main build, so the max DPS build. Just because this is the one you would use to do this type of content, which is like you're using it as your main damage source. You wouldn't use the plus strength build as your main damage source. That's more of a utility type build for snapshotting Warframes. I didn't really go over how to snapshot ability strength. I don't feel like that's needed for this video. I mean, I feel like if you're looking for that, you probably know about snapshotting already. And it's also very Warframe specific too. Like not every Warframe can snapshot, or I should say every Warframe can snapshot, but not every Warframe needs to snapshot. Only a few of them really need to snapshot. So this just functions like a normal auto rifle. It's got the perk of it being a kit gun, and you get that little kit gun arcane that like bursts these little wisps from the guys' heads, and they go seek out other heads of enemies, which is actually kind of nice. You get a lot of damage from that, actually. This does have the weakness, though, where it's got really bad status chance. So it's kind of stuck being a mono element weapon. I'm gonna scratch my head real quick, I'm sorry. There we go. So it's kind of stuck being a mono element weapon. So like, you know, just viral or just corrosive with external viral if you have that. Which is a little bit unfortunate. That makes it okay against the Acolyte, but maybe struggle a bit more than normal against like normal thick enemies like Eximuses and Thraxes. So I'm kind of stuck. I know what it's going to get for kill per minute scores already. So like I know how it's going to do like versus trash, because I've already done my 3 10-minute runs. But for single target, I'm really stuck between giving it B or C. B would be like average. C is below average. I feel like against Acolytes, it's average, maybe even like on the top end of average. But against like normal thick enemies, I'm really debating if it's like on the high end of C or really low end of B. So I don't know yet. After the gameplay, you'll see where I ended up putting it, but that's my thinking behind it, is because it's just got that really low status chance, and you're really only going for a mono element on this weapon. Not that great against big thick enemies. You know, where other like weapons that can stack like 100 heat procs or things like that, they do really good on those thick enemies usually. But less good on Acolytes. This is kind of like the opposite. That being said, this is not good against Acolytes. This is just average to maybe above average against them. So we'll see. We got Angst coming out, which is that's a good Acolyte to test on. You can see it's chunking them down. It's doing better than most auto rifles, but it's still not good. I wouldn't say this is good, but it's okay to maybe slightly better than okay at least. I've been really like giving the final ranks though on how things perform against normal single target enemies though. So maybe it will be in like high C, low B. Oh my goodness, they stole my weapon. Give me this back. Alright, so that's 5 minutes. Let's kill these Thraxes. We'll see how it does against these thick guys. I mean, you see, it's not bad, but it's not good either. You know, normally, if I put that whole mag in him, like another auto rifle would have like a bunch of slash procs also ticking. Like this one doesn't really, unless you go 100 munitions, which is, you know, one of the benefits to going 100 munitions over bladed rounds. But it's still not going to be very big slash procs. They're going to be small slash procs. There we go. So that's 5 minutes there. That's the Thraxes dealt with. Let's see what we're at. 423. That gives you any indication on what it's going to do for the 10-minute trials that we have. So I'll end the gameplay here and we'll go back to the Orbiter. All right, welcome back to the Orbiter, guys. Let's go over how the Kitgun the Rattleguts primary did in its 3 10-minute runs on Steel Path Lewis Circulus. It got 813, 697, and 728 kills, putting it in the A tier for kill per minute potential. Now, when we talk about single target next, there's really 2 stories here. There's single target versus the Acolyte, and single target versus normal heavy enemies like Thraxes and Eximuses. Versus the Acolyte, I think the Rattleguts primary is actually above average compared to most other auto assault rifles. And versus the regular thick enemies like Eximuses and Thraxes, I think it's the opposite. I think it's below average compared to those normal thick enemies. You could make it better against those normal thick enemies by going hunter munitions instead of bladed rounds, but then you would be hurting your kill per minute potential. So that's really up to you. That's a decision you can make on your own there. But regardless, I think we're going to give it B tier for single target, but low B tier. And when it comes to ease of use, it's not a hard weapon to use. It's an auto assault rifle. Now you do need to aim, you do need to get headshots, you do need to stack scope if you want to get the most DPS out of it. But it's still an auto assault rifle, pretty easy to use. If you do have prime shred, that makes it even easier to use because you're just going to get your headshot kills through pure attrition of shooting through enemies. So I think for ease of use, it's kind of right in the middle there at B tier. So that's my take. That's what I think about it. Tell me what you guys think. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys have an amazing day. All right, bye.